My stepsister, who was jealous of me, tried to spoil my wedding by lying and saying my fiancé wanted to leave me for her. So I called her husband and told him the truth, which caused them to break up and get divorced. When I was 25, I got married to Noah, my boyfriend for nearly 7 years. Everyone in my family, including my stepsister Charlotte, was at the wedding. My mom married Charlotte's dad when I was 9 and Charlotte was 8, so we've known each other since we were little. We actually met when I was 6 and she was 5. We used to have a lot of fun together when they visited. I didn't have many friends in my neighborhood, so I always looked forward to Charlotte and her dad coming over. We got along well, even as we got older. She felt like a close friend to me. But things changed when we started high school, all because of a boy named Noah. My dad cheated on my mom with one of her friends when she was pregnant with me. When he got caught, he decided he didn't want anything to do with us and left. He even signed papers to say he wasn't my dad anymore and went off with his girlfriend. They never got married, so we never saw him again. My mom didn't even want money from him because she was so done with him. So I never met him, and my stepdad was like my real dad. Charlotte's mom died when she was really young because she had a lot of health problems, especially during her pregnancy. So my mom got full custody of me, and Charlotte's dad got full custody of her. When our parents started dating and living together, Charlotte and I ended up spending a lot of time together. She was almost the same age as me, so it was like having a sister around all the time. We were super close until high school. Even though she was a year younger, we were in the same grade because she started school early. When we started high school, Noah joined us. His family had just moved to our town, and he was the new kid at our school. I liked him right away, and so did Charlotte. He was cute and really nice. Even though we both had crushes on boys before, we were just kids then, so it didn't really matter. I could tell Charlotte liked Noah as much as I did. So we talked about it and promised not to try to date him because we didn't want a boy to come between us. We were just teenagers with crushes, nothing serious. We thought we could move on from liking Noah, but it wasn't that easy. Since we had a lot of classes together, the three of us became good friends. The more I got to know Noah, the more I liked him. He was exactly what I wanted in a guy. But I remembered my promise to Charlotte, so I kept things just friendly. Even though Noah would flirt with me, I never flirted back because I didn't want to hurt Charlotte. Charlotte and I never talked about Noah because we knew it was a sensitive subject. We didn't want to upset each other. That's how things were until our senior year, when people were asking each other to prom. I was almost saying yes to another guy when Noah told me Charlotte had asked him to prom. He told me Charlotte confessed she liked him and wanted more than friendship. I was shocked because she promised me she wouldn't make a move on him, and she told me to do the same. It hurt me. But Noah also said he turned her down because he only saw her as a friend. He said he felt Charlotte was trying to get with him for the past few years, but he never felt the same way. He liked me. Noah confronted me because he liked me but felt like I wasn't showing any interest back. Since we were about to graduate and go to different colleges, he needed to know if we had a future together. He said I could either tell him if I liked him or not, or he'd ask someone else to prom. That conversation with Noah was a big deal. I was confused afterward because he confessed he liked me for a long time. He also said Charlotte had been trying to flirt with him, even though she promised not to. That hurt because I thought of her like a sister. After Noah talked to me, I needed time to think. I told him I'd have an answer by the next day. I didn't know what to say because I needed to talk to Charlotte first. I skipped the rest of my classes and went home because I couldn't face Charlotte. When she got home, she acted like nothing was wrong. She didn't mention Noah or asking him out, even though we promised not to, so I decided to bring it up. I decided to confront Charlotte about asking Noah to prom and confessing her feelings. She got defensive and said it was between her and Noah, but it was my business too because she promised not to do that, and I did the same. I'd been hiding my feelings for Noah while she kept making moves on him. It wasn't fair because I was pretty sure I was in love with him by then. Ignoring his advances to keep my friendship with Charlotte hurt, especially when she didn't care about my feelings. We had a big fight, and I decided to go out with Noah. Charlotte didn't care about my feelings and even said Noah would pick her over me. It was arrogant and hurtful, and I was done with her. She betrayed me in the worst way possible. The next day I told Noah everything, our promise, the fight with Charlotte. He was understanding and said he'd wait for me if I needed time, but I couldn't deny my feelings anymore. We started dating that day, and it's been 7 wonderful years since. Cutting off Charlotte was hard, especially since we lived together. But she moved to the basement, so we didn't have to see each other. Our parents asked what happened, but I never told them, and I don't think Charlotte did either. We just stopped talking. It was tough at first, but we got used to it. Noah and I went to the same college while Charlotte went to one far away. We only saw each other on holidays. After college, Noah and I were still together, and Charlotte started dating someone from her college too. As we started working, our fight felt silly, like something from a high school TV show. We'd see each other at family events, and even though we didn't make an effort to talk like we did as kids, we were polite and greeted each other. Things changed as we grew up. We were at least talking to each other as adults. Then last year, Charlotte got engaged to her college boyfriend, and I congratulated her. It was formal, and she invited me to the wedding. It was kind of sad because when we were kids, we'd always pretend to be each other's maid of honor at our make-believe weddings. But at her real wedding, I was just a guest. It was nice that we were acting like adults and fixing things, but it was also sad that things wouldn't be like they used to. We had been on speaking terms since then, and Charlotte even seemed okay with Noah. I didn't bring him as my plus one to her wedding because it felt weird and insensitive, even though she had moved on and was marrying someone else. But she noticed and told me I could have brought him because it was all in the past. I shouldn't have believed her because what happened recently showed she hadn't moved on at all. A couple of months ago, Noah proposed to me and I said yes. He'd just been promoted and I quit my job to join a startup with my friend. It was supposed to be a stress-free wedding, but inviting Charlotte was a mistake. Everything seemed fine leading up to the wedding. Charlotte congratulated me when I got engaged and she accepted the invitation to the wedding. We were having it at a hotel a bit out of town, where most of our friends and family were staying. Noah and I, along with our parents, arrived 2 days before the wedding, while others came the day before. Charlotte and her husband were supposed to arrive a day before the wedding, but they showed up the same day as us, which was unexpected. They said it was a mistake and luckily there were empty rooms in the hotel, so they could stay. On the day of my wedding, I noticed Charlotte acting strange. While I was getting my makeup done, she kept peeking outside my room. It was odd because guests were supposed to be either in their rooms or enjoying themselves. We had booked a big part of the hotel, and people were free to do as they pleased until the ceremony. After I was ready, my bridesmaids and mom went to get dressed. We had an hour before the ceremony, so I took a walk down the corridor to calm down. I couldn't leave that floor in my wedding dress. That's when Charlotte stopped me. She said she needed to talk about something important. I was surprised because even though we had been talking, we hadn't had any deep or personal conversations. It was strange, but I let her speak out of curiosity. She told me she arrived at the hotel a day earlier than planned, not by accident, but because Noah had asked her to. She came because he asked, but she didn't know why he wanted her there early. Then she said it was because Noah wanted to ask her to run away with him. She told me a story about how Noah contacted her 2 weeks before the wedding, saying he was getting nervous and worried that marrying me was a mistake. He realized he wasn't in love with me anymore and had fallen for her instead. She said that they had been secretly talking for a long time, but it had always been just friendly. However, Noah had fallen in love with her and asked her to come early so they could run away together. Since she arrived at the hotel, Noah had been pressuring her to agree to this reckless plan because he didn't feel brave enough to tell me himself. He was afraid I would do something drastic, and he didn't want to be responsible or around when it happened. But Charlotte couldn't go through with it and felt she needed to be honest with me. So like a normal person, she chose the hour before my wedding to tell me this huge thing. Obviously, I knew she was lying because I trusted Noah completely, and I knew he would never do something like that to me. He was a straightforward and blunt guy. If he had something to say, he would say it to my face instead of going behind my back. Neither of us were cowards who ran away from problems. Charlotte's story seemed very out of character for him, which is why I knew she was lying. It was infuriating because she pretended to be concerned about me and my relationship. I could see she was just trying to create drama and spoil my wedding for no reason. So I decided to take a drastic step and called her husband right in front of her. I didn't have his phone number, but I followed him on Instagram, so I called him there. I pretended to be devastated, standing in front of Charlotte, so she couldn't see what I was doing on my phone. She didn't stop me because she thought I was going to call Noah to confront him or even break up with him, which is what she wanted. But she had no clue I was actually calling her husband, who was in another part of the hotel. Thankfully, he answered. I repeated everything Charlotte had said to me, asking if it was true. Charlotte stayed silent, still thinking I was talking to Noah. I couldn't understand what she was planning because one look through their texts and emails would reveal the truth, so I had no idea what her game was. Anyway, after I finished talking, I put my phone on speaker so Charlotte could hear her husband's response. He was shocked to hear about all of this and said he was coming back to his room immediately. When Charlotte heard her husband's voice instead of Noah's, she freaked out and started screaming at me. She accused me of trying to sabotage her marriage, but I told her I was just doing to her what she was trying to do to me. Then I walked back to my room. I told my bridesmaids what had happened and asked them to make sure Charlotte didn't show up at the wedding or the ceremony because I didn't trust her and wanted her out. Luckily, I didn't have to worry because the ceremony went smoothly and Charlotte didn't try to interrupt. She was probably too busy trying to fix things with her husband after her stunt. No one at the wedding even noticed she was missing, except our parents. When they asked where she was, I said I would tell them later, but I didn't plan on telling them because it wasn't important to me. After everything was wrapped up, I contacted the hotel to ask about Charlotte's room. To my satisfaction, they told me she had checked out during the wedding, and she and her husband were gone. No one brought up anything after the wedding, and I was glad because I just wanted to enjoy being a newlywed without talking about Charlotte and her drama. I did tell Noah about it, and we had a good laugh, but that was it. It's been a week since then, and 2 days ago, we found out that Charlotte and her husband are separating. Our parents informed me that her husband had called them, furious about how awful Charlotte was. He told them they needed to come get her because she refused to leave their house. If she didn't go, he would call the cops, so they had to pick her up. They found out that her husband was insulted that Charlotte had come to the wedding venue early on purpose to sabotage me. He had heard the entire story from me and had been hearing from her friends for ages about how great Noah was and how Charlotte should have ended up with him. He couldn't take it anymore because it was clear she still had feelings for Noah. That's why she tried to ruin my wedding. That was the last straw for him, so he decided to end their marriage. No matter how much she insisted, she was in love with someone else, and he couldn't ignore it anymore, so they are getting divorced. For some reason, my parents think this is my fault and are blaming me. They believe that despite what Charlotte did, I should have kept her marriage and her husband out of it. They say that by calling him, I ruined her marriage. Now they expect me to apologize to her and are refusing to talk to me because I said I wouldn't do that. I don't understand how this is my fault because I didn't ask Charlotte to do something so crazy. All I did was hit her where it hurt because she tried to hurt me first. That's all I did, and I think it's very unfair to blame me. She ruined her own marriage and I had nothing to do with it. Noah agrees with me, but my parents and many of our mutual friends with Charlotte are on her side, and it's really messing with my head right now. Update 1. Hello people of Reddit. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post and assured me that I am not in the wrong here. Your support helped me realize how unfair my parents and a few of my friends were being, so I decided to cut them off. Honestly, I don't see any other way out of this because if I don't cut ties with them, they'll just keep blaming me and making me feel awful. At some point, anyone would crack under that pressure, and I don't want to crack and apologize to Charlotte. So it's best if I cut everybody off. Isn't that what my parents wanted anyway? They were the ones refusing to talk to me because I wouldn't apologize to Charlotte. So now they have what they want, and I'm not talking to them either. As for my friends, if they want to take Charlotte's side and make me the bad guy, they're welcome to do so. This just showed me that they were never true friends in the first place. Everyone knows that Charlotte is the one at fault here, and she owes me an apology. They can keep denying it, but it won't change the facts. I'm not interested in changing anyone's mind. Everyone can believe what they want. I just want to spend time with Noah, and that's it. Update 2. Hey everyone, Noah and I are currently on our honeymoon. It's been almost 2 weeks since the wedding, and I'm still not talking to my parents. Not talking to my friends doesn't bother me much because I have Noah now. And to be honest, I wasn't very close to those people anyway, so it doesn't make a big difference to me. But not talking to my parents really hurts. I keep wanting to reach out to my mom or have a chat with my stepdad. But I can't because they've chosen to take Charlotte's side. She's living with them now and probably telling them more lies about me to turn them completely against me. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up hating me by the time I return. I understand my stepdad wanting to support his daughter, but I don't get why my mom isn't taking my side. She went through being cheated on by my dad, who left us for someone she called her friend. That's exactly what Charlotte was trying to do here, sabotage me to have Noah for herself. I feel like my mom, of all people, should understand why I was upset and why I acted the way I did. But if she sees me as the villain, I don't know what else to say. Anyway, Noah and I are trying to enjoy our honeymoon, and hopefully it'll help cheer me up and take my mind off these problems. Update 3. On the 3rd day of our honeymoon, my mother texted me, but I've decided not to read it until we're back home. Right now, I want to focus on enjoying every moment with Noah. If the message isn't good news, I'd rather deal with it later. I know it might seem strange, but I want to cherish this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Update 4. We're back home now, and the first thing I did was read the message from my mother. She explained that they had allowed Charlotte to stay with them for a few days, but she kept bad-mouthing me non-stop. Eventually, my stepdad and mom realized what Charlotte had done to sabotage my wedding and decided to kick her out. They invited me over for dinner this weekend to make it up to me. They admitted they got carried away because of Charlotte's divorce and didn't handle things well. They want to apologize, and I couldn't be happier about it. Noah and I have accepted the dinner invitation, and I'm hopeful this will mend our relationship. It's a relief that things are getting resolved, and I hope we never have such conflicts again.